Hello. This video is a response to a Psych for Sore Minds YouTube video about autism. I think the title of the channel is itself problematic. It's Dr. Shahom Das suggesting that autism is a type of sore mind. What is certain is that I had a sore mind after watching his YouTube video titled 5 Secret Signs You Might Have Autism. Hang on, is this thumbnail implying that autism is a source of ridicule? I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos over the past 3 years, and this is the worst one I've seen. Dr. Das, MBCHB, BSc, MSc, MRC Psych, is a consultant forensic psychiatrist who has assessed hundreds of patients in prisons, secure psych wards, and courts across the UK. In my view, his video about autism pathologizes autistic people, especially as it's placed in the context of diagnosing mentally disordered offenders. He strongly implies that autism is a mental disorder, which it isn't. It's a neurological difference. National Autistic Society guidance on how to talk and write about autism advises that many autistic people do not consider autism to be a disorder. Although disorder is used in the medical terminology, most autistic people do not view autism as a disorder and consider the medical terminology to be pathologizing. Throughout the video, the doctor refers to autism symptoms, though the National Autistic Society advises using the word traits, as autism is not an illness. So, let's run through some of the video's lowlights. This episode is about 5 subtle hidden signs that you might have autism. Traits, not signs. Autism is not an illness. I'm not talking about the obvious stuff that's really easy to diagnose. Such as what? Does autism have a certain look? Autism can exacerbate the underlying propensity towards violence. The doctor presents no evidence for this. It's there since birth. It's not something you can catch after one too many shandies during Freshers' Week. I believe this was meant to be a joke. These individuals might say the same thing again and again without any discernible reason. These individuals include trained professionals who repeat autism stereotypes and present them as legitimate research. Autistic people can excel in certain areas, certain subjects, typically things like maths, art, science, or music. He says this over a picture of a boy and a complex equation. It's one thing just listing symptoms, but it's more interesting if together we explore not just the obvious symptoms I've mentioned, but the subtler, more clandestine, the more hidden, the more obtuse, the more secret signs of autism. The doctor makes autism sound like a nasty illness. A subtle symptom that you have autism is the smell of a croissant is intoxicating. Or to put it another way, the smell of can be so strong that an autistic person can smell it through their computer. Heightened sensitivity to sounds. Yeah, like the sounds the doctor made in his video. It's kind of like you've got your own superpower, but I've got to be honest, you're not going to thwart many criminals. No. But we can try to thwart people who are trying to pass off harmful autism stereotypes as meaningful research. What's the prevalence of autism? Yet again, he makes autism sound like an illness. The age at which a diagnosis is done depends on when that child or adult actually has these behaviours and symptoms that bothers them to the degree that they present to mental health services. And nowadays, as you probably know, there are lots of clinics that diagnose adults with autism. Personally, I think it's a double-edged sword because I think a lot of people might just have a few sort of quirks of their personality and might be diagnosed inappropriately. Firstly, these behaviours are how we live our lives. Secondly, I can't describe how offensive and infuriating it is to read that comment about quirks. When my own autism realisation at the age of 40 allowed me some self-forgiveness and self-acceptance. And yet here he is, yet again, talking about autism as if it's some sort of add-on. People often mistake your sarcasm for being mean, but you're not trying to be mean, you're trying to be funny. He's saying this about autistic people while trying to be funny in a video that comes across as mean. The irony. Autistic people may have a unique sense of humour. Well, he got one thing right. Number 4 hidden subtle sign that you, yes you, might have autism is that you have a deep connection with animals. You believe that animals understand you on a level that humans never will. Is it any wonder that autistic people may seek the understanding of animals when people who claim to understand autism demonstrate such willful misunderstanding? Whilst autistic individuals can definitely experience empathy, they might experience it in a different manner and they might struggle to understand the emotions of other people, especially humans. Do you think the doctor will be able to empathise with me in terms of how I feel about his video? Number 5 sign that you might have hidden autism is that you're secretly hoping you don't get into the club. You prefer the peace and quiet of your own company. Is it any wonder when we're surrounded by ignorant people who believe that we're inferior to them? Part 2 of this video is specifically about how people with autism might struggle in romantic relationships. Ooh, can't wait. Thank you for listening, and take care.